Today we see many people searching for answers in science, philosophy, psychology, art, and even pop culture. But will this be enough to replace what we've lost? A clear moral compass once given to us by God. The death of God doesn't only signify the loss of belief in religious existence. It also points to a crisis in how we perceive ourselves. When we let go of traditional religious structures, we are forced to find meaning in our own lives. Without God, who are we? How can we be moral if there is no higher power to define what is good and what is bad? Nietzsche offers us the idea of the Overman, a person who can create their own values and moral guidelines without external authorities. While this may sound like a promise of freedom and potential, it also brings fear and uncertainty. How can one be a moral person if there are no absolute standards? Nietzsche foresaw that the death of God would lead to a great doubt. If people can no longer rely on religious dogma, they will have to find another way to understand their place in the world. This leads to a significant moral and cultural crisis that is already unfolding in our time. Can we create new values for ourselves? Or will we fall victim to relativism, where everyone can choose whatever they like without limits or responsibility? The death of God does not only signify the loss of belief in religious existence, it also signifies a crisis in how we perceive ourselves. When we release ourselves from traditional religious structures, we are forced to find meaning in our own lives. Without God, who are we? How can we be moral when there is no higher power defining what is good and what is bad? Nietzsche offers us the idea of the Overman, a person who can create their own values and moral guidelines without external authorities. This idea promises freedom and potential, but it also introduces a sense of fear and uncertainty. How can someone be moral when there are no absolute standards to follow? Nietzsche warned that the death of God wouldn't bring immediate liberation or enlightenment. It could become extraordinarily dangerous, as people without traditional moral guides might fall into uncontrolled self-expression or even moral anarchy. If there is no single higher power defining goodness and justice, who will set the rules? Can everyone create their own morality? And if so, what will that mean for our society, which is already operating within a fragile balance? Nietzsche cautioned that the loss of meaning could lead to suicidal thoughts or depression. Without religion to provide an answer to the meaning of life, people may feel that their existence is purposeless. Rather than inspiring, the death of God could plunge society into a bottomless pit of nihilism. And this is where Nietzsche wrote that only the Overman could overcome this abyss and once again create new moral frameworks that would give meaning without needing to appeal to God. Therefore, as Nietzsche says, we must accept the death of God as a fact, but not stop there. We need to create new values based on human dignity, freedom, and creativity. Nietzsche believed that we, as humanity, can determine for ourselves what is good and what is bad, without needing to turn to an external authority. The idea of the Overman is about each of us becoming the architects of our own fate. Without God, we gain freedom, but this also brings great responsibility. Morality is no longer defined by an external source, and this opens the possibility for deeper self-expression and creativity. We must learn to build our morality based on the inner strength and wisdom we possess. The true freedom that comes from the death of God is the opportunity to create new values, not relying on external authority, but rather on an internal moral compass. So, when God dies, does it mean we are now free? Or is this still a challenge that demands incredible responsibility from us? How do you personally deal with this idea? Have you found new moral guidelines for yourself now that the old structures of faith no longer work? Think about it. Your responsibility for defining the meaning of life now rests entirely on you. This is a difficult path, but it is also the path to freedom.